guys, bye.
Ever since the first game appeared on our monitors, it had a saving and loading functions to save our achievements, items, scores and many other things. Playing a game without the ability to save current progress sounds outrageous and would basically ruin a good game. Since there are a few ways to save and load data in Unity, we will only cover the simplest one, but it doesn't hurt if we get to know all of them. There is XML and Unity monoserialization, which is a process of converting an object into a form that can be readily transported when you need it. You could write a parser or system of your own, but it's quite hard. And then there is PlayerPrefs, which we'll be covering today because it's the most simple way to store data in Unity. PlayerPrefs, short for Player Preferences, stores and assesses data between game sessions and is the easiest way to save and load levels, create basic scoring systems and activate or deactivate objects, create upgrade systems and customization menus. The list goes on and on. Its power is limited, but it can basically be used for as much as anything, though you can hack it or access it quite easily, and has a very limited storage on web player, which is 1 megabyte. But yes, you can store data even on browser-based games. But what does it store? Well, PlayerPrefs is able to store ints, floats and strings, and then load them, but it can't store actual objects. Static functions that PlayerPrefs uses are delete all, which removes all keys and values from the preferences, delete key, which is similar but only removes one key and its corresponding values, get integer, float or string that returns the value corresponding to key in the preferences file if it exists, hash key, which returns true if it exists, save, which writes all modified preferences to disk, and then there is set integer, float or string, which sets the value of the preferences identified by key. Well, PlayerPrefs basically provides a simple solution on saving data to various devices, platforms like web, standalone or mobile. Its main usage is for some not so important features like volume or quality settings, data storage, or for saving player's name, due to there are other more complex and advanced methods of saving and loading data. To show you the PlayerPrefs simplicity, I created a simple example with two scenes in Unity. We have level 1 as one scene and level 2 as another scene. The only thing that is off from those two levels is the surface color and the saying or the title that says level 1 and level 2. Under the FPS controller in level 2 there is a script that says Game Manager Update on it, and in the level 1 there is a script that says Game Manager. So if I play the scene and it loads level 1, if I press left mouse button in level 1, the next time I will load level 1, it will load level 2. If I go to level 2 and play it, it will still load level 2, but if I press left mouse button and the next time I will play the scene, it will load level 1. This is very easy to do, so I'll just show you the scripts that are attached on those two FPS controllers and explain it to you how those work. I'll explain the Game Manager script first and Game Manager Update second, which those two scripts are pretty much the same. In the Game Manager in our scene 1, if we open up the script, the first thing there is a variable gold amount that is an integer and it equals to 0 at the beginning. So in the start function that happens right at the start when we play the scene, we declare that gold amount equals to PlayerPrefs, the int that we get from PlayerPrefs, that we load from PlayerPrefs, and it's called the game. So this int hasn't been set yet, but we'll be setting it up in the next step in the function update. In the function update, if you press left mouse button, we will set the int, the game, to be equal to 15. So that means the gold amount will be equal to integer the game, and it will equal to 15. And then in the fixed update function, we check if the gold amount really equals to 15, and if it does, the application will load level 2, sorry. And yes, that's pretty much it for the Game Manager. In the Game Manager update, it's the same story, just that the variable integer is number and is not gold amount anymore. So end function start, number equals PlayerPrefs, and it gets the integer the game, which we already set, and it now equals to 15 if we press left mouse button. In the update, if we press left mouse button this is in the level 2, it will set the game to be equal to 5. So number will equal to 5 and also gold amount will be equal to 5. So function fixed update, if in the function fixed update we just check if the number really equals to 5, and if it does, application will load level 1. So that's it, and this is how you create a simple loading level let's say system in Unity. Here's another example of where you can use PlayerPrefs, and that is scoring systems. This is just a simple scene in which you have two texts, one for score and one for high score, and if you press and hold left mouse button you can add score, and if you reach and go over the high score will then be equal to the score, and it will count up as the score goes up. And if you go from the scene, if you play it again, remember the high score now, and if you play it, the high score is equal to the high score, to the score that was set and was the highest in the scene. This is particularly useful in endless runner games and all that things. So how it's done, that's very simple also, and we only have one score counter script on text, which is applied under the canvas. We have main camera and event system, so we can use all the text properties. So if I open up score counter script in MonoDevelop, just to quickly explain to you how it works, it's actually quite simple. Variable text is Unity Engine property in UI that's called text. We're using the text UI, and text one is just the same. Variable score integer is the score we are setting, and the high score is the high score. Clearly, function start. Under function start, we are declaring the high score, and high score equals PlayerPrefs that get int score. So high score equals the int in our PlayerPrefs file score. Function under function update, text equals score plus score. So it means that we're just adding score, and that way we don't if we would just type score, it wouldn't add up, it would be 0, and then when we press it would count from 0 up. It wouldn't add up numbers, so that's very important. And also we're checking if score is more or equal to high score, then high score equals score. So when we reach and overreach the high score, then high score equals score. So then PlayerPrefs sets or saves integer score to be equal score over here. And under fixed update, if you press left mouse button, the score will add up 1. So it will add one integer, one whole number to our score, and then it will set PlayerPrefs integer score to be equal to high score, so that everything works up so that high score is equal to the real high score. And if you close it up, and that's it. So yeah, you can play around with it. The last thing we're gonna do is create simple scripts to really memorize everything we learned today. And I already have one script created over here. and we'll write to this one. If you don't know how to do it, just right click, create a JavaScript file, and yeah, we're just gonna start off by typing and creating a start function. So we're just gonna create a start function, and inside we're gonna type, I'm gonna set an integer for our PlayerPrefs. So PlayerPrefs.setInt, and we're gonna name this one let's say pi, and to be equal to 1. And then we're gonna create an update function, and in the update function we're gonna call this, we're gonna call it in the console, we're gonna show it in the console for every single frame. So we're gonna create an update function and use debug.log to call it. And inside debug.log we'll just type PlayerPrefs.getInt pi. Forgot the brackets here. Not the brackets, whatever this is, and sorry for that. Okay, so what we're doing here is basically putting a statement getInt of PlayerPrefs into debug.log, so we actually calling it out, and it will, if you did it, if it's done right, it will just call number 1 here in our console. So we set an int here, and we loaded an int here and put it in debug.log. You could remove this, but you wouldn't see the number then, and you could call it, like, for example, a number equals PlayerPrefs.getInt, and then you would have this number variable over here that would be an integer or float, and then it would change the value of this number. If it would be 0, it would then be equal to 1, because pi is here 1. Now we can close this up, save and close. I'm just going to refresh my assets here and play it. And if you go to console, as you can see, it's calling number 1 out. debug.log and object here, which is PlayerPrefs.getInt pi. And that was it for today. Thank you for watching, guys, and see you next time. Bye.